on the landowner to do all these studies, watershed-wide studies, 100,000, maybe more of costs to find out that your watershed is appropriated. So there's nowhere in it that you even know that you're going to be spending all this money to comply, that you would even get your permit. And as we have seen in the last decade, the way that they have not been processing permits, it's a real concern. So I guess the expense on the landowners, and then the other thing is who's going to enforce this? That's a question that I think is of concern. And as Mr. Sanford said, when it comes to agriculture, and the county is dealing with zoning and protecting our agricultural uses, and how are our agricultural futures going to be affected by this policy. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. One last comment from the chair. The original request was going to be asking for an extension of the comment period. That's been provided already. Is there any wishes from the board to have the water agency director or myself submit a letter thanking the board for an extension of that? Or shall we just leave it alone and take that aggressive approach?
I think it's a waste of 47 cents. But.
All right. Any?
It's only 41.
41. Well, then, hearing and seeing no proposal come forward, we'll just let it lay. And okay. Please report back to us on this issue of great importance to the county and to every citizen that has a need for water in this county. So,
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Mr. Pincers.
Roland, after this meeting, will you be coming back to us because I think we need to, early on, we need to get on board of I don't see them changing a lot in this policy. Maybe.
I think what I will do is every appearance I make under general manager's report, I'll brief you on the status of this thing. And so, for example, and I know on the 26th at our next board meeting, I'll brief the board on, okay, what came out of this workshop, where are we now, what is kind of the state of the situation.
What I would like to see is an early on letter that we can only addressing, say, maybe hit the top 3 points of it. I really think that we need to get on board early on to oppose this, unless they significantly change it. I mean, it's to me, this is not about saving fish. As Chairman Wattenberger said, this is kind of a proposal to put the large water agencies maybe at a more competitive advantage for the water. Because if it was about the fish, they wouldn't exempted the Eel River.
That's right.
So it's not about the fish. I don't know why those lines were drawn. I'm glad they were drawn that way, but it's not about the fish. It's more of an issue of sometimes I wonder what the Sonoma County Water Agency's involvement in this whole process with a consultant to come up with this policy, because it clearly puts them in control of more of the water we have.
It is surprising that the Eel River was excluded. One would have thought,
they didn't have to deal with the wrath of me is why they excluded it.
No doubt that would be the reason.
Thank you, Mr. Sanford, and
all right, thank you,
Supervisor Pinches. Any additional items under the Mendocino County Water Agency? Hearing and seeing none, I will take up the item listed separately under the IHSS Public Authority Governing Board, and we had 2 items before us, and they've been pulled for discussion into the future to be determined. Just for the public's knowledge, those 2 items have been pulled.
Question, Supervisor. My understanding was not that both were pulled, just that number A was pulled and B was going forward.
Madam Clerk.
Prior to the open session, we were informed that the document did not come through for the second item, so staff requested withdrawal of the entire IHSS consent calendar for today.
And could you explain again why?
Final documentation was not received by outside counsel.
Okay.
Ms. Glassy, if you could comment to the HSS Public Authority Governing Board items.
Right. We checked in, and what we wanted to do to make it simplest is just withdraw that agenda, and we're going to resubmit for the 12th, and you will have everything in your packets, and it will all be straightforward and clear. But there aren't any problems. It's just taking time to get the signature on the second item.
So this is a continuing effort of this board to do it right the first time and not,
Or at least the second time.
and not have to correct
Right.
certain aspects.
Right, but it will definitely be on for the 12th, and it will still be on consent.
Thank you, Ms. Glassy. Any additional comments on this item? That was pulled. Okay, hearing none. We do have a couple of items yet to explore. And I do have a report from the CEO's office. Do we wish to go to that now, Mr. Mitchell?
Certainly, we can do that.
Okay.
Yes.
No.
You
Did you
give those
inform
to-
the sheriff that he got to bring it to
Just a number of housekeeping issues to bring to your board's attention that I think you would be concerned on. I'll make my comments brief in the interest of time. First item is a report on the Reverse 911 System Grant. That program will be called the TENS program, which is a new acronym for Telephone Emergency Notification System. There is up to $2 million available statewide for 13 counties to apply. That was in the original announcement by the governor's office, but it's interesting, in the notification, they say that funds may be available to other counties that don't have systems. So we're not sure if the governor just doesn't know who doesn't have these systems, or if there's some other plan out there. At any point, we are meeting, I believe, today with Sheriff's Department staff and HHSA and my own Office of Emergency Services, and we will be discussing that grant application. The Sheriff's Office will be taking the lead. Both Carmel and I have had previous experiences in our other employment with Reverse 911 systems, and they do work very well. So we will be pursuing that. Interesting, as part of that funding, they are offering 2 years' worth of maintenance costs for those systems after they're purchased and installed. Just a cleanup item. I think you've all met Pat Thompson by now. That's the interim manager for the city of Ukiah. A more critical issue on Homeland Security. We had a recent audit of our Homeland Security funds. As a result of that audit, which goes back to those of you that were around in those days. Fortunately, I wasn't, having to do with Mesa. There were a number of issues that occurred because of how Mesa did business. And as a consequence, we did make a reply to the state for a corrective action plan. That corrective action plan was not approved by the state, and it led to a meeting on Monday of last week with the program directors from the Office of Homeland Security. And at the present time, we do have a freeze on all Homeland Security funds coming to us because of the activities that occurred during this time period. There is corrective action plan that we're undertaking. The way Mesa worked was the city of Ukiah was actually the finance officer for the Mesa's activities, and we've been working closely with the city in order to get the documentation that we need to demonstrate to the state how we did spend those money. And the state is looking for not only a complete inventory of all items purchased, but at their present location, and they should have had asset tags. So it's a major undertaking that we're involved with right now.